Hey, welcome to this lecture on Jamaica Kincaid, and this is her prose poem, Girl. Now, some editors classify it as a short story, which I do not believe it is. Some people would say it's prose. It is. I call it poetry, a prose poem, which actually is a genre. And in this, Jamaica Kincaid is using the concept of stream of consciousness. What that means is that our minds do not think A goes to B goes to C. Our minds are like, and there are some great authors who write using stream of consciousness, which is our minds doing what they do all the time. Which means that you're thinking one thing, and that leads to another completely different thing, which leads to something else, which leads to something else. And pretty soon, you're like, what was I thinking about to start with? All right, and you can find this in your book, Arguing About Literature. Online, I will give you the page number because chances are, by the next time I'm teaching this, we'll change the editions and it could be a different page number. But you can also find this online. This is a very famous prose poem. And I want you to notice that it's basically a page and a half. Well, not even that in the textbook way of looking at things. It's 1 page and a quarter. She only uses one period. So I want you to think of the idea of throwing away everything you've learned about grammar, capitalization, run-on sentences, because the assignment you're going to write is going to be one continuous sentence. And I want you to take note of how she goes about doing this. And it's called Girl. Can you imagine being called girl or boy by your parent? And what this is a reflection of a woman remembering what her mother told her as a girl. Wash the white clothes on Monday, then put them on the stone heap. Wash the colored clothes on Tuesday and put them on the clothesline to dry. Don't walk bareheaded in the sun. Cook pumpkin fritters in very hot sweet oil. Soak your little clothes right after you take them off. When buying cotton to make yourself a nice blouse, be sure that it doesn't have gum on it because that way it won't hold up well after a wash. Soak saltfish overnight before you cook it. Is it true you sing Benna in Sunday school? And you can look in the text to see what Benna means. Always eat your food in such a way that it won't turn someone else's stomach. On Sundays, try to walk like a lady and not like the slut you are so bent on becoming. Don't sing Benna in Sunday school. You mustn't speak to wharf rat boys, not even to give directions. Don't eat fruits on the streets. Flies will follow you. And then in italics, the little girl speaks back. But I don't sing Benna on Sundays at all, and never in Sunday school. This is how to sew on a button. This is how to make a buttonhole for the button you just sewed on. This is how to hem a dress when you see the hem coming down, and so to prevent yourself from looking like the slut I know you are so bent on becoming. This is how you iron your father's khaki shirt so that it doesn't have a crease. This is how you iron your father's khaki pants so that they don't have a crease. This is how you grow okra far from the house because okra tree harbors red ants. When you're growing dasheen, make sure it gets plenty of water, else it makes your throat itch when you're eating it. This is how you sweep a corner. This is how you sweep a whole house. This is how you sweep a yard. This is how you smile to someone you don't like too much. This is how you smile to someone you don't like at all. This is how you smile to someone and notice there are no paragraphs either. You like completely. This is how you set a table for tea. This is how you set a table for dinner. This is how you set a table for dinner with an important guest. This is how you set a table for lunch. This is how you set a table for breakfast. This is how you behave in the presence of men who don't know you very well. And this way, They won't recognize immediately the slut I have warned you against becoming. Be sure to wash every day, even if it is with your own spit. Don't squat down to play marbles. You're not a boy, you know. Don't pick people's flowers. You might catch something. Don't throw stones at blackbirds because it might not be a blackbird at all. This is how to make a bread pudding. This is how to make ducana. This is how to make pepper pot. This is how to make a good medicine for a cold. This is how to make a good medicine to throw away a child before it even becomes a child. This is how to catch a fish. This is how to throw back a fish you don't like. And that way something bad won't fall on you. This is how to bully a man. This is how a man bullies you. This is how to love a man. And if this doesn't work, there are other ways. And if they don't work, don't feel too bad about giving up. This is how to spit up in the air if you feel like it. And this is how to move so quick that it doesn't fall on you. This is how to make ends meet. Always squeeze bread to make sure it's fresh. And then in italics, but what if the baker won't let me fill the bread? You mean to say that after all, you're really going to be the kind of woman who the baker won't let near the bread? Okay. Now, I've never talked to my children this way, but this is obviously a mother who is very, very worried about her girl daughter. She talks to her about everything from keeping a house clean to domestic abuse to how to have sex to how to have an abortion. She covers the gamut. And so your assignment on this is to think about the voices that are in your head. And what I want you to do is sit down and listen to those voices in your head. Think about the different things you've been told by people in authority over you. Your teachers, your pastors, priests, ministers, whatever it is you call them. Your coaches, your neighbors, your babysitter. Think about the things you've grown up with. For example, have you ever been told, don't spread your legs. Keep your legs closed. That's not ladylike. I'm willing to bet that at least half of you who are watching this video have been told that. And when parents tell their daughters to keep their legs closed, when they're children, when those daughters are children, what is it that parents are worrying about? I watch this happen with my twin sister all the time. Do you think that advice worked? No, of course not. She ended up getting pregnant when she was 16. Why? Because they didn't teach her about birth control. They just said, keep your legs closed. Which is really kind of silly. Also, if you're female, I want you to reflect on how many times in your life you've been told by a loved one or a friend that what you're wearing makes you look like a slut, which is obviously a big concern for this mother in Jamaica Kincaid's prose poem. All right, so for your assignment, you're going to sit down and you are going to write out whatever comes to mind for the length of the assignment. Then you'll go back and revise it. You'll make sure that you didn't include any periods except for one at the end. You can take those voices in your head and use your own voice. And if you speak back in your own voice, put it in italics. Put it in italics. I took my daughter to the pediatrician. This was many years ago, about 20 plus years ago. And the doctor loved when I came in because mostly it was women bringing their children in. And he knew that I was always reading, and he'd want to know, so what are you reading right now? And I would always have a book with me while I was waiting in the waiting room. And we went back in this particular day, we went back into the little, I don't know what you call it, room, I guess. And he's looking at my daughter and making sure she's healthy. My daughter with disabilities, Ashley. And he's asking me what I've been reading. And I'm telling him a little bit about it. And as we're talking, and we talk and talk and talk, not about medicine. And I told him, I said, look, right now while I'm talking to you, I can hear voices, people from my life talking about the same thing. I can hear all of these passages that I've read from texts that are thousands of years old and into the present. And I call that the choir in my head. And he looked at me, Warren, and he said, Warren, I understand, but don't ever tell another doctor that. And the reason he said that is because he didn't want someone to diagnose me with schizophrenia, which I do not have. What I have is a very complex mind that remembers things that people have said, that remembers things that I've read. And whenever I am talking, like even now, when I'm talking to you, there are other things coming up on my dashboard in my head, and that's my choir. So what I want you to do, I don't know if you have a choir in your head, but I do know this. You do have voices from your past as you were growing up and as you were learning. Maybe it's from that boss at work. The asshole. And I want you to spend time writing that down. And that would be stream of consciousness. Not like we do an organized essay. Introduction, supporting paragraphs, conclusion. No. Write the way your mind works. And feel free to break all the grammatical rules. Thank you.